you guys doing? Love that background music. Sometimes it goes in and plays, and sometimes it doesn't. My name is Kelby Smith. I'm with HISadvocates, the executive director for a ministry that does a lot of things from a standpoint of helping people understand the truth and freedom. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to come and talk to you about tonight's not so favorite subject, and it actually causes me a lot of angst and hurt from the bottom of my heart. I've touted several times in the last several years that over 750,000 people a year disappear in this nation, and it's a big number. So if you think about that statement as, you know, a generalized statement for people to get their mind wrapped around, it's very difficult, and I understand. So my heart isn't to cause angst or to cause controversy or bring about a conspiratorial non-fact. So I decided to pull up the latest numbers from the FBI website, and I'm going to show you how it's kind of not so forthcoming and how you got to kind of dig to get the accurate numbers. But it amazes me that we're sitting in a society today where kids are gone, and we're talking about January 6th. We're talking about a vaccine. We're talking about elements of a world and a stage that fail in comparison to the numbers of children that go missing every single year from every nation across the world. So I sit here and I want to just pull my hair out, and on a not so funny note, it's become a reality to me that I'm pushing this a little more than I want to, but because it's more important, I think, than anything that's out there being discussed on the face of the earth. We're talking about non-existent matters. We're talking about lockdowns. We're talking about things that are, you know, really important, like a complete global flip of currency and banking and monetary systems and policies. But we're not talking about this one at all on any accord, any level, anywhere that I have heard. And I don't want to say I'm the lone wolf, because I don't think I am, but when human trafficking has become more important and more worth more money than drug trafficking, we have a serious problem in the world. When a son of an acting president of a country by the name of the United States Corporation can do what he has done and flat out get away with it, and have his laptop full of horrific child stuff get out, and the FBI has done nothing about it, and yet you have a potential charge and arrest to Donald Trump, who through an attorney supposedly had paid off this prostitute or porn peddler or whatever you want to call her. You have billion-dollar payoffs to foreign countries. Do you know the operation size that it would take to remove 750,000 people off the planet every year? I can't even get my mind wrapped around what that looks like. So when I start to try to think about at what level should we be engaging in this and really getting this out there, I'm wondering why it's not forthcoming from the federal government, period. Like, they make disclaimers and disclosures like I'm about to show you, but why isn't the federal government all over this trying to protect our kids? And I don't know the answer to that, other than they are participating in the collusion and cover-up of missing children and missing people. And we have heard rumors that in Hollywood, they are big on a thing called adrenochrome. If I explain that to you, you would probably be horrified. But I've heard that's something they inject into them. I've even watched people do it, saying it is adrenochrome and injecting it on YouTube. Movie stars and others. So what is the purpose of adrenochrome? What is the purpose of the need for a child? The need for sex with a child? I don't know. But when I sit there and I look at this thing from just taking a step back, and I look at what Hollywood does with new bands that are trying to get signed and come in, I've got many different firsthand accounts, people in the industry that tell me what they do before they allow people to get a contract. And it is very malicious, undermined, and ultimately it allows them to keep in complete control of that entire band because of what they get videoed doing. And so now I just look at these operations that are happening around the world, things that are being touted about a new world order, a great reset, a change in policy. And we're going to discuss what they're talking about exactly about the banking industry and what the banking system and structure is doing right now, and bank failures, and how that's all going to look in 6 to 8, 9, 10, 12 months. But today, and since the last 10 years, really it's escalated, I'm going to suggest that we have in excess of 5 to 7 million minimum in this country alone missing people. Now, that's not jailed, but they are in jail. But it's not people that were arrested, and these are people that are missing. So I'm going to take a second and I'm going to show you and add this to the stream. This is just the FBI website. When you look at kidnappings and missing persons and understand something, you can pick it by year, category, whatever. This is, I guess, everything. But this is most wanted. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand what the difference is of most wanted versus just generic, but these are the most wanted, and it's only showing 107 items. Now, we all know many more than 107 people go disappearing every year, and I get it. You know, this is an understanding of the FBI and their interpretation of who is the most important. But how do you pick that out of numbers like this? So this is right on their website, an official website of the United States government. Here's how you know. I'll click it for you. You can do with that what you will. But this is the FBI.gov. There's no other website. And the link I'm going to put into the chat section here for everybody to look at themselves later. This is both on YouTube and will be on hisadvocates.org and hisadvocates.tv. But when you take a look at the website and you start to get your mind wrapped around what they're offering here, it's like, holy cow, these are numbers of, and they break it down very interesting. And I have not spent the time to break this down. But just looking at the term JUV, meaning juvenile, 0 to 17, and then it says and 18 and over, which doesn't make sense, 0 to 20 and age 21 and over. And so you look at this first line, 0 to 17, there it makes sense now. There's 18 and over. So juvenile, END is endangered, involuntary, disability, catastrophic victim, and other. All right. So just right here, and for females, and just right here for males, you are in excess of 400,000. Guess. I'm guessing. Pretty close to that number. Now, this is 2022 missing person by category, age, sex. You can look at it by gender. You can look at it by race. You can look at it by, transactions. Now, people want to say, okay, so these are found victims, located victims. So they go missing. The entries are missing, 546 total thousand entries. For 2022, active entries as of, I don't know what that means. Total file transactions, don't know what that means. Entries in 2022, 546, 568. So I'm going to guess that is total entries of juvenile and of adults. In 2019, it was over 750,000. So right here, 546,000, that is an admission. Here is the unrecovered, and it says canceled and cleared, total removed, canceled and cleared messages received by NCIC, excluded amounts. But that doesn't make sense to me because here's the locates, it's 61,000. And so, first and foremost, this is the first of any time I've come before a report that makes no sense to me at all. And well, it's not the first time. It's actually every single website that the government operates, the CDC and so forth. But this is the first time I've ever not been able to understand something on a website very clearly, because it's telling you that there's 61,000 recovered, 481,000 that are still outstanding, but a total of 546,000 missing entries. Now, how do we manage this? How do I look upon this? If there's 100, if there's 1,000, if there's 100,000, to me, the numbers are the astronomical right now. But at this point, there's only 61,000 that are being inputted back into the system as recovered. So that means there's 461,000 on the list of entries that are unrecovered. Now, how and where are these people? Let's say it's 10,000. Let's go all the way down. 10,000 people. Where are they? 10,000 people a year. That's 50,000 in the last 5 years. That's huge. That's a big prison. Where are they? Let's say it's 50,000 people per year. The last 5 years, that's 250,000 people. Where are they? So I don't know if you guys remember, but when the CDC was reporting, I proved that 5% of the actual numbers that they were reporting were from the virus alone. And I also proved that they used the numbers of the influenza to push up the numbers of COVID. And I also proved that the CDC was benefiting on the V word for the people that were getting that shot, if you will, that jab, if you will. I also proved that the United States corporation was benefiting on it. And I've also proven that Donald Trump was benefiting on it. But to me, this is a form of full disclosure for everybody to take into consideration, because we're walking into a new time and era, and this is pure evil. Just to house 1 million people in this nation takes a huge amount of efforts. First, you have to have law enforcement. Like, let's look at the prison system. We have more people in prisons. On the FBI website, they tout 3 million, whatever. And then you have jails, and you have short-term jails. So you're looking at 12 to 15 million in this nation to make them disappear. And I'm going to use this example because that's about the same as it is for the missing people of this nation. It's about the same. Even if it's a tenth of the same, it's going to correlate to the same thing. How many law enforcement officers did it take to make those arrests? How many people did it take to house them, to feed them, to shelter them, to cover them, and to make them guarded, if you will? It takes a lot. So the operation to remove 700,000 people a year, I get it. Some are parents that are crazy. Some are nefarious, some are whatever, and they've tried to break it down for us on that transaction list. I get it, but the operation to take care of a missing block of 5 million people is enormous. It's beyond any scope that you can imagine, and therefore it would have to be underground. It would have to be. Now, we've all heard about deep underground bases, cities, bunkers, whatever. I don't know. I know of it to be true. I know that it's been a long disclosed thing, and it's something that they've not hidden. But you can't put them in broad daylight because it would be too obvious. You'd have to put them underground. And I do know of one thing that Trump did, and I showed you guys this, and when he was in office, he had added $650 million to the Army for underground military warfare training. And I do know that under his administration, there was more operations being shut down than any other president in history, meaning pedophile operations and arrests being made and the borders being shut down and locked up. Now we are in a complete flip of everything that was going good for us while we were under Donald Trump. Now, I'm not for any particular party. I'm not for an independent party. I'm not for a Democratic party. I'm not for a Republican party. I'm for a free party. Free to be able to operate, free to be able to help people, free to be able to protect my family. And it doesn't seem like we have a country there that is doing very good at protecting their children. So I want to encourage you guys today to get involved and to whatever capacity that you can. There are operations that are going into these dumbs and trying to free these children. What they're coming back with from a story standpoint, I will not even repeat because it does not even sound truthful, to be honest with you. But these guys have no reason to lie about what they're seeing. I have a video of a 4-year-old boy, no reason to lie, who's describing exactly what happens to the infants and how they mutilate them and tear them apart and use them for drinking, use them for sex. Why would a boy say this? And he looked dirty and bloody, like he just came out from underneath an underground base. So 100% fact, the government is in collusion to some capacity. 100% fact. That they are not doing anything about this. They therefore have to be in collusion. 100% fact. There's no way that a military operation can operate above ground or underground and watch this kind of activity happen and not be a part of it. Now, I'm not saying our military or our government is bad. I don't agree with much of what you're seeing on TV these days. And I don't care about what party it is because it's not about the party. It's about their affiliates, their ties, and what they make their allegiance to. And it's most certain that this administration isn't making allegiance to anything but a big, fat toilet and flushing this nation down it. At least the predecessor to this existing administration seemed to have a concern for the nation of people until the very end. And I don't understand that. So I'm looking forward to trying to figure out a way with you guys to whether it's take up arms and training ourselves to go up and figure out where these children are and do a safe and stress-free, violence-free recovery, if possible. But do something. Because if we don't, at this point, officially, because of this broadcast, and after you verify and validate what I'm saying, we are complicit in doing nothing. And for the record, you may not be a Bible thumper, but the book of James says, to know that it is sin and do nothing, it is a sin for you, basically. You can't just walk over this anymore. We have to fund operations that are in support of going after these children. We have to fund operations that are working towards a 98% or 100% payout of all funds received by investors to go into these warfare training programs for people to go and get these kids back. We have to be in prayer for these kids. And we need to do that today. And I'm asking for your help. And I'm asking for your advice. And I'm asking for your counsel. But we are at war like we've never been in this nation before. And when our children are affected, we have to do something about it. But we are barely hanging on as a country right now. 2023 is the year of the New World Order and the Great Reset. And if you haven't been shopping or watching, you would find very easily that they're very clear about what they are going to do. The banks all over the world have been having issues. The few banks that have been coming into crisis and being gobbled up in the last week does not mean everything is okay. All you have to do is look at what China has gone through, and that is going to be a mirror of what will happen here in this nation. They touted an extreme outbreak and told regions of people where the banks were shutting down and not able to give them ATM money or withdrawals. They told them, do not leave your house. And the enforcers were wearing white hazmat suits and taking the dogs and taking the cats and locking people into their house. And people didn't have food. And you're not getting this reported to you, but there's been catastrophe after catastrophe in China. And this is all done in an operations basis, city by city, very planned out. And now we have a few banks here in this nation starting to take a fall. And you have Klaus Schwab in all of his might, his old guy strength, the World Economic Forum leader. He's straight up telling you, along with other people on his staff, that we are going to see a cyber attack in this world like none other in the history of time. Obviously, that's not saying a lot, but I have to say it's kind of nerve-wracking when you think about what a cyber attack could mean. It could mean a downed banking system. It could mean a downed power grid. It could mean every computer and every company and everybody goes for a 2-week, 30-day vacation and everything is shut down. That means people that don't have means will be hungry. People that don't have fresh water because the system is down and it needs power to operate will not have fresh water. And they will go looking for it. And the people that haven't protected themselves and armed up and geared up and readied up are going to be the fall guys. Because they are doing this by design, because they need America to fall. Straight up. America must fall so that the New World Order can take effect. They have to figure out how to get the 700 whatever million guns. They have to figure out how to move the people from the suburbs into the cities known as the 15-minute cities. And they're going to do all of this and change out the entire banking system and move into a non-fiat digital-based system where they all have their own coins, currency, over the next 3 years. You will see a collapse of the United States of America unlike anything we've ever seen before. Does that mean every single state and every single city will be the same level? No. But it does mean that they are trying to make us equivalent to a third world country. They control the voting. They control the military. These power brokers. They control every military on the face of the earth. Now, let's talk about the operation for COVID. and what that maybe took. I can understand AI might be able to relax the operation a little bit, meaning from manpower standpoint, but the reality to get the entire world locked up the way that they did for a COVID outbreak, which to me was very nerve-wracking. And I'll be honest, man, I jumped those first couple of weeks. I was scared to death. But to see an entire system across the world match and everybody be on the same page was very telling. The operation was long in play. It actually came out and they had to do full disclosure. They had to. They created an event called Event 201. Look it up. Bill Gates, John Hopkins. They fully talked about every single thing that was going to take place during the COVID period of time and the lockdowns. What we are about to experience could be far worse than anything we've ever experienced in the past. And I'm very sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there is remedy for people. There's remedy for banking. There's remedy for retirements. But you are on notice that when this switch does take place, going from fiat into digital, everything is going to be the same, except cash. Your cash accounts, your retirement accounts. What comes in on the other side might look the same from a valuation standpoint in a digital currency, but the reality is your purchasing power will be about 30-40% of what it was just prior. Maybe 10%, maybe 70%. We don't know. We honestly do not know. But this is a reality that we have to face right now, that things are going to change. And to be effective and to be in front of this and to be knowledgeable and to be not in cash, not have your retirement accounts affected, do whatever it takes right now to get out of your cash positions. Get into hard assets immediately. And I mean immediately. Go get your cashier's checks and trade them up at your local gold store for as much gold as you can buy, as much digital currency as you can buy. And there are a few hand-chosen digital currencies that we at HISadvocates.org would recommend. Absolutely. You're going to see a changeover policy and where the new world order, known as the Great Reset, is going to take effect. Now, the nerve-wracking parts are in 2026 through 2030. Those are the nerve-wracking parts. But God is always on a throne. I'm not a newscaster. I'm just kind of like a wall watcher. I like sitting up high and looking around and making sure that my family is covered, that we're prepared. That is the goal for me with this ministry as well, is to make sure that the people that are coming in and being a part of it are ready for the future. Now, I could spend an hour talking about this, guys. This has been a long day. I got a bad haircut and I misshaved. So I feel very vulnerable right now. And I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of a ministry that actually is helping free the people. Becoming a State of the Union citizen is one of the most effective tools to combat this. That means you're saying, I want to be an American and I don't want to be a participant in what Washington, D.C. does. Now, I'm going to talk about in the next week, I'm going to get very specific on what people are trying to do out there in generating information as an American national or state national or national of the United States. And I'm going to show you the trickery of what everybody is doing, the Department of State, all the way to these people out there touting these things that they may or may not know are actually forming a jurisdictional alliance to the United States. And it's very important that you guys pick the right path. And it's very important that you know what you are doing before you make a decision. So I want to thank you for watching, and God bless. Man Cave Classified tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific. And we're going to be jumping into this diagram, and we're going to be breaking it down, and we're going to be doing a lot more on full disclosure of what we think is going on. So please chime in, and we'll see you right here, hisadvocates.tv. Again, we're live on Roku, Amazon Fire, Android TV, and Apple TV. And you can always watch us on hisadvocates.tv live. And we thank you for your participation. Have a good night.